Oh wait, who's gonna clap?
Oh yeah. Well, how about you guys high five or something? That'd be kind of clever.
The brother of the power ship, brother. Alright.
We're doing Rafa.
Alright, it's AC cooling down the heat.
Literally this time.
Yeah, it is. It's back in the summertime. This room is about to get 90 degrees.
You about to see steam, the vapor waves pouring off our
drinking
heads.
like 4 bottles of water. You guys know why, because we're in the summertime now.
Only if we had a quiet AC.
Hey, I'm sorry though. It's late podcast. I mean, we haven't released. It's summertime already. We would have really already released before, but we're working on it. Trust us.
Try to get back on schedule.
Yep. But today we got a new guest. Season 2. You know what I mean? This is our 3rd guest on season 2. He's working with LeBron and Thomas currently right now. He's the director on a season that they're working on together. We got Darius.
What's up?
It's good, man.
How's it going, Darius?
I hate the weather. I hate warm weather.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan as well.
Nah. I feel like in Washington it's funny because we always complain in the winter like, oh man, I wish it wasn't raining.
Yeah.
I wish it was sunny. Now here we are when the heat comes. It's like, nah, turn this off. This ain't California for a reason.
I do love the all 4 seasons we got here though.
That is true. That is true.
You get to experience winter, fall, spring, and summer.
Yeah, exactly. I think everybody can agree to that out there. If not, you're weird. No, I'm kidding.
You're weird.
I mean, I love the rain. Bring the coldness.
Okay.
I love the
Every day,
rain
all
too,
day.
to be honest. Yeah, the snow and the rain.
I only like when I'm not working outside.
That's fair.
Yeah,
You work outside. Yeah. That's true, Thomas.
Exactly.
You'd be dying outside.
Yeah, it's miserable.
So Darius, how long have you been doing this, directing and getting into like how did you get into it? First of all, actually.
So I started directing stuff. Got an interest in directing stuff. Tail end of my college life at Western.
Okay.
Back in 23. Did a few short films as like my senior project. Directed a few plays, short plays, and then I from there, alongside writing stuff, and acting and stuff like that, coincide. I started working on projects afterwards, and so these projects like Methods of Healing that I'm working with LeBron and Thomas. And then we'll talk about my upcoming film, Clementine. They've been in the work for a good bit.
So, I guess have you started acting first before you did directing?
Yeah, I have a major in acting from Western, minor in accounting. So I'm a bit weird, but then the accounting helps me keep track of stuff and stuff like that.
Right, exactly.
And then I love to perform.
If not, you can always work at a bank. No,
Are you still currently acting, or are you just strictly directing and writing?
At the moment, I'm not acting in anything.
Mm-hmm.
I do plan to get back into acting.
Right.
Dip my toes back in. But right now, I'm just focusing on directing and writing.
So I kind of have a question here. Where did you even start with? Did you start with in your lifetime? Did you start with acting or directing first? And was it a transition from one to the other, or is just?
So so from a young age I started with acting. I loved just putting a smile on people's faces. Mm-hmm. That's what's always driven me when it comes to acting. And then as time got older, as time passed, I got more and more creative. And in acting, there are a little bit of restrictions of what you could do, which enter directing and writing. I've actually been with writing a little bit more longer than directing. I've been writing stuff since the 5th grade, and then directing, as I said, came final year, in which it felt like I get full control of what I want to see on the screen.
Right.
I love movies. A fun fact about me is that I saw 200 movies in the theater last year.
Oh wow!
1 year.
Yeah.
How did you keep track of that?
That's where the accounting comes in. I have a whole document of keeping track of everything.
You got like an Excel sheet and stuff like that?
Yeah, Google document.
All
that
makes sense.
I was so impressed how many movies you watched back to back when we watched that one movie. You would even rewatch movies too.
Really?
Okay.
It's tiring, but I love it.
Big time investment.
So why did you even watch that many movies? Are you studying them, or trying to get some inspiration from them, or you just love movies that you just want to watch them?
I think it's a bit of everything. The ways they're shot, how they build tension in the story, the writing aspects of just seeing what works and what doesn't in the film. Yeah. Like if I see a bad film, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably not gonna take that. I'll take something from that bad movie and then see of ways to improve that.
Yeah, maybe a lesson from it.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, what type of stuff were you like writing at first? Like, what inspired you to write what you're writing?
Yeah.
I mean, I have a huge imagination.
Right.
My dreams. First off, every time I dream, for the most part, I write it down.
Really?
And yeah, so I have a whole document for that too, and I just write the main plot points of those dreams, and then some of my scripts, if they're palatable to a script I can write, I always start writing that down, at least some of the story. So when I get back to it, I could always go and continue working on it later on.
That's crazy. You can remember the dreams.
Damn, so you're making your dreams into like
into a reality,
movie. That's crazy. That's
insane.
That's
to
impressive.
Because I was saying, bro, you wake up from a dream, bro. 5 minutes later, you're like, who was that one chick I was talking to? Like, bro.
Yeah, I don't remember thinking about a dream.
Nothing,
the first time I wake up, like, wait, what just happened?
If I don't recognize the person in the dream, I'm like, I just try my best to describe that person.
And you just like make up a name and all sorts of that. I'm assuming.
Yeah, something, a name that I haven't used before, but is like kind of unique.
So let's say like the dream is like a very short dream, and okay, let you write about it. How would you extend that like story?
Yeah. Well, so I'll use this as an example. I had this dream, right, where I was the camera in the dream.
Oh, okay.
And so it's this couple who walk into a spa, right, and the wife is very full of herself. The husband's not kind of taken back. He doesn't stand up for himself.
Right.
And so they're offered a deal in which, the lady behind the counter is like, you can take this deal if you go separate ways. They take the deal. So me, the camera, I follow the wife. She goes down this hallway. There's 2 doors. She peeks into the first door, doesn't like what she sees. Then she goes into the second door down a little farther down the hallway. And what she sees is her husband dead on the ground. With the words in blood, "You're next," up on the wall. And then me as the camera, I pan when she's crying to her husband. I pan around and I look up and I see an evil version of herself. So that concept of the dream that I took, very short. It was like a 2-minute, or it felt like a 2.5 minute, 3-minute scene or a dream. I created that. I've been sitting on that. I added a little bit of touch. Instead of them being regular people, I'm like, what if they're pieces of bread?
Right.
And so 2 pieces of bread go to a peanut spa, and the blood is now jelly. And then I actually went to the Seattle Film Festival lately, this past month, and I saw this movie called Spermageddon.
That's a crazy.
I'm
sorry, brother. That's a
crazy Norwegian film, man.
Crazy.
But the journey, it's the journey of these 2 sperm paddle things, and they're speaking Norwegian, Nordic, and they're just trying to. Their goal is to impregnate the girl,
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, let me take that concept and just add it to my story. So now they go separate ways. The husband who actually did die is now like a piece of wheat now. So he's on a wheat plant, right? And he's in this big old tournament like Mortal Kombat or like Tekken, something like that, or Karate Kid or something like that. Yeah. And now he has to fight his way to get back to where he was, to be a piece of bread, because the winner of that tournament then turns into the champion. They get their personality is in that piece of bread that gets made, while she has to go through Bread Town, seeing all the pieces of bread, pieced together, like, or taken apart by like birds and stuff like that. Yeah. All these types of bread, but just taking an idea, watching these movies is just. Imagination goes wild.
I've seen what you're saying. It's like, so you kind of use your dreams almost as a foundation at first, but then you start to even take the dreams and like you, because everybody knows the dreams have crazy twists and turns, and the imagination feels kind of endless, right? So you're taking that whole idea and you're turning those into plots in itself. So that's crazy to me. That's pretty crazy.
No, that's amazing. Yeah. I feel like I feel like I can't be as creative as that.
I sure could. Yeah, I sure could. There's no way I'm about to have a dream of a shorty getting stabbed in her chest old boy getting stabbed in the chest by his girl. Then I wake up, I'm like bread, and then I'm like they go from wheat. Mortal Kombat tournament. They fighting 1v1. There's no way.
Yeah. Well, speaking about being creative, like what is the easiest part about being creative, like doing stuff like that?
Just the wild scenes that could happen, the wild dialogue that could happen.
Right, like having like open possibilities and stuff like that. Yeah,
if it's like a piece of bread, the amount of possibilities and just putting together a scene. I think I'll answer the opposite. I think the hardest part, at least for me, is just finding the theme of the story.
Right.
Until I don't really get like the theme of the story until like the very end usually.
Okay.
So that's what happens in the rewrites. I make that theme a lot more prevalent.
Gotcha.
And so it's kind of just like, I guess the easiest part is just the ramshambo, shoot it out there, write a whole bunch, then read it back, get to the hard part of putting the message in there.
So how long have you been doing this, like dream to like writing the plot and then being creative?
I want to say 2017, something like that.
Damn, so you must have like so many stories like built up from all that. That's crazy.
Yes.
What made you, I guess I'm curious, what made you like wake up one day and be like, oh, I'm gonna write this down and be creative and make a whole story out of that?
It's just being in that dream. I'm like, this is a crazy just experience. Like,
right.
And sometimes your dreams actually become into reality a little bit. And so I'm like,
like
coincidence,
a little deja vu type of thing.
I'm like, something happens in my life. I'm like, oh, that happened in my dream.
Right.
Like, I mean, thank goodness, sometimes I die in my dreams. So good thing that hasn't transferred over, but just the
craziness
the
of it
craziness.
All. Yeah.
What? Okay, let's say if you have like a reoccurring dream that you had before, like how would you continue on that story, or would you recreate that story? How that process goes?
So I've had a few dreams like that. Usually the second time around I have that dream, I focus in on the little details.
Okay.
So building on what the first time I've had that dream, building on to that, so I can know.
So like the missing plots a little bit. Okay.
A little bit, yeah.
Turning into something that the audience want to watch,
Yeah.
Okay.
Now it's making me think like Willy Wonka. Like was that like a dream, like a kid's dream, like going to a chocolate factory and wanting a golden ticket? Yeah.
When they make stuff like that, it's gotta be.
Thinking about all the movies, it's kind of like the imagination goes like far like beyond. It's like making me think, because it kind of does feel like a dream watching those movies and then see it in reality in movie theaters.
Adventure Time.
Yeah,
there's no way somebody either he wasn't sober when he wrote that, or he was fast asleep. There's no way. There's no way. It's like shows like that.
I'm curious. I'm sure you talk to other directors. What is their process of their like how do they create their stories?
So unlike most directors, so usually the directors I talk to, they usually have a storyboard at hand. They know scene by scene. And so I've kind of incorporated that a little bit into my scripts,
right.
Thinking about how to write and then direct, that, it's helped me, be quicker at writing my scripts.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the first draft takes a good bit. I love to just jump from script to script,
right?
And so because of how big my imagination is, and so just having that storyboard and having the scenes in my mind, I hammer down, learning from other directors, has helped me a whole lot.
What is this whole kind of storyboard thing? Is this like a plan of attack or something, or?
Yeah. So usually, it'd be like the big ideas of like a scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll start the scene, like the script starts here, and then the next scene, there'll be smaller scenes. It's kind of like a what is it? It's like just like one of those, like a presentation. It's like a PowerPoint almost.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
But there's usually photos. There could be photos in the storyboard, or
Is it kind of like a comic book?
kind of
Like how you like there's like scenes that you can see and there's like description of like the people talking or description of what's going on.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a step by step of the story, not necessarily dialogue, but
Right.
where the story's going.
Yeah. They kind of put you in that world in the first place for you to kind of get those details that you can then eventually write in. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do people like ever proofread your like stories, like the dream ones that you do?
I mean I love sharing my first drafts.
Right.
As for the dream, when I first write them down, I haven't shared any of those. That I keep those ideas to myself.
Mm-hmm. Until you like feel ready.
Yeah, when I make them into a script, then I'll share. But I always love sharing my first draft because I just love seeing the work of people's minds working through the story.
Yeah.
Right.
Their reaction to your new work. I'll ask you this: have you ever gotten any awesome, amazing plots you just came up with, the storyline you just came up with, you brought to somebody for them to review, and they're just like, they either don't understand it or they just don't fuck with it?
Or make changes to it, to be
Oh
honest.
yeah, like, no, I think we should change this and this, and you think that you actually shouldn't change that.
Yeah, I would say my upcoming film Clementine, in its first draft, I would say the earlier part of the scripts was well received by the person I shared it with, but the ending was like rough, and so I kept on thinking about how to rewrite the ending and stuff like that. I took their recommendations and I'm like, how can I make this better? And now that and then it came through, I made it a lot more simpler than it needed to be.
So that person that that offered the advice on your film Clementine, was that like another director or was that an actor?
It was my friend. She we knew each other from college, and she's been in a few of my plays that I've directed back in college, and so I trust her word, and just and her ideas of like just the motivations of the characters and specific,
Right.
Because she's really good on that. Like that's her specialty, with characters and stuff like that. And so, yeah.
Well, speaking about, working with others, how do you find like your group? Like the people that, that you want to work with and they have similar ideas and stuff like that.
Yeah. So well, I'll start with Hebron. Knew Hebron since high school. And so we actually ran into each other on a film that was directed by Yao Nguyen back in 2023. And so that's where the idea of methods of healing happened. And then from there, I'm introduced to people he works with. That's how I met Thomas. And then the whole processing, just throwing the idea out there for auditions and stuff like that.
Right.
Whoever's interested, we'll take you kindly. We'll take your audition. We'll talk about it. And I just love if people have the passion for it, if they're willing to drive for it. I love that. Hardworking, on time, and willing to be down for anything.
Right. What about the rejection process?
Yeah, that's probably the roughest part.
Yeah. It's like, what if like they don't fit? They're not coming in time. But they still want to be a part of something. But like, they're just not doing the performance that they should be doing.
I've always had the idea is if an actor isn't like, if they don't like fit the role that from my vision
right.
for the show, that in my mind, I always want to offer them like a crew position.
Mm-hmm.
So if they still want to be part of the process, they can be. And plus, the more crew, the better.
That's fair.
With Methods of Healing, we had Thomas over here doing the heavy work. His back's probably hurting right now.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yes, that's what I love to hear.
That's what I love to hear. That's what I love to hear.
I mean, he got gray hairs, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks like a hardworking man. That's what I like. Let's go.
Credited 3 times.
I love that. I love that.
You look like you work at 9 to 5.
Did you know how Thomas and Hebron met?
I feel like it's been told, but
I think we vaguely brought it up.
Yeah,
it's through this podcast.
Yeah.
So that's
in a conversation just like this. We started
this is the exact same conversation. Hebron was like, telling his story and how he got to become an actor.
It's actually kind of a beautiful story.
Yeah,
how it all started.
and then Thomas got very encouraged, and I was like, hey,
got the show.
I was like, you should connect with Hebron. He started connecting with Hebron, and
I gave him a shout out on his birthday just for thanking him for that.
And here we are, and now we have you. Part of the
happy where things are.
Yeah,
full circle.
You know what? You want to know something? Thomas has been thriving. He's been doing.
I love that.
Yeah. He's out here.
My boy.
Hey,
he's doing the work.
You know what that sounds like? A dog. A dog. He'll take that.
Actually, I haven't even told you. I do the videography, the video editing. I'm actually dabbling a little bit of acting.
Let's go. Okay.
Yeah, you see him on the screen. When you watch Methods of Healing, you'll see him.
Okay.
He's kind of,
I'll give you a hint.
Hold on.
It's one of the costumes at a Halloween party we used to.
Security.
Yep.
I knew it. I was thinking.
Hey. You're gonna see him for the first time. You're gonna be like,
bro,
yo,
I am excited. I am excited. Yeah,
that's Hallie right there.
That's exciting. I love to hear that.
I get the adrenaline from all that.
Oh man, that's
you should see him. He came busting in the door one time. Yeah. He was like, "Get out the way!"
I went too fast when I went through the door to get the bad boy.
Yeah.
He came in with swagger.
He came in there. He was feeling the outfit. He said, "Hold on, this is Sergeant Thomas."
To show you guys.
Hey, you audiences, you get prepared to watch this series. You get to see our boy Thomas behind the screen and get credit. You get to see Darius. Yeah, you get to see Hebron, who was on this podcast on season 1. So,
while we're on the topic, you mind, if you're able to, you mind telling us about a little bit of the plot line so far as going on in Methods of Healing?
Yeah, Methods of Healing. So, Hebron, our head of group, brings in all of his patients together to see and they have all these different issues. So he brings them together to see if them interacting with one another will improve their conditions or their situations. And so we go one by one through the episodes as we see the characters either break down. We get to learn more about the characters. And through creative ways and stuff like that. I'll leave that at that. But it's a fun time.
No, I could tell. I mean, Tom has been having lots of stories. He talks so much about it, like in a positive way. Yeah, I mean, by like all the times he's talking about it, like it just makes me excited to see.
This is what I
like,
want to do for my life. Too.
Yeah, this is really exciting. For Thomas and for all of us to see this.
Watching your boy fly, man.
Yeah. Life is way different.
It's nice. And then I heard he has a lot of upcoming projects that he's gonna be working on. So that's nice.
Like
Clementine
too. Yeah. Okay.
That's it's a script I've been working on. Clementine's since December of 2023.
Oh wow.
I got the idea after watching the movie. It was one of those Perrault movies, Haunting in Venice. It's like a mid-budget movie. But I was like, the grand idea first, I mean, the idea was a detective series, but this story, Clementine, at least the first story, it started to become like a coming of age story, or like about this guy named Winnie, who had lost his father. And so the expectations that were left by his father, and the way he approaches them and how he handles them, that's only one part of the story. And then the other part of the story, Catherine, she lost her boyfriend 3 years prior to suicide, and so she's trying to find the best version of herself by going on all these dates. And so the two collide paths, and things go, let's say, for the change, they go different. Things flourish.
Things flourish. Okay.
Okay.
That sounds like a love story to me. That sounds like a love story for all any of those that live them. Well, I don't know what the script is. I mean, I don't know what the actual show is gonna be about, but it sounds like it's a story of romance. So y'all, if y'all
are you doing a show or are you doing a movie?
It's a film.
Film. So if y'all think that this film might be for you, if you like any type of romance story, well, check it out. And it might not be romance. You know what I'm saying? We in for a surprise. Check it out, man.
If you were to release this film, where would you release the film?
Of course, film festivals, of course.
Yeah.
And then Tubi, but a few others in mind.
Where can we find each of these apps or these websites, these shows, festivals? Where are these?
Well, if you look, we don't know the exact festivals, of course, yet. But you can always search them up. The streaming service, Tubi, you can find, if you look it up for free, look up, you see free movies. They do have some independent films, but they also have some movies that are free on there that are pretty good. I mean, they're all good.
Is YouTube still like a thing for people to like post their films and stuff like that? Because I still see some like short story films on there.
I do too.
Yeah, I would say the short stories for YouTube especially is the prime position. If you're making a feature film, I believe I would say most directors are looking to make some sort of profit off it, or like get it out there to more eyes.
Because I usually see, I mean, this was back in high school. I usually see a lot of the short story films in high school, and they're like amazing. But they're always posted on YouTube, and you can always rewatch it and stuff like that. So I mean, YouTube. I feel like YouTube is a great platform for short story films.
For sure. Yeah, I agree with that. But I also I love physical media.
Okay.
And so I hope that make some physical media copies. Distribute them out there. See who picks them up. The more, the merrier.
Wait, how does that process work? Actually, I'm curious.
The physical media.
Yeah.
So I did some researching. I would need to get some blank CDs or some DVDs, and then I would have to take my film that I have on my laptop,
right,
and burn it onto that disc, and then from there, it'll be on the disc, and then on Amazon you could buy like DVD cases and stuff like that, and then we'll find an artist at some point to make the cover art.
Right. How would you advertise that to the consumers?
Social media,
right,
is the biggest one.
What about if you put the disc in the cover and have your cover art? You just sneak it into Target and just leave it right there.
Well,
have you ever thought about that?
Target, you ain't seeing this. You're not seeing this, Target. Thank you for giving me
hypothetically.
I like that idea. Hypothetically. Target, Goodwill, the whole shebang.
Oh, damn, Goodwill is actually a smart one.
Yeah,
because I feel like Goodwill, a lot of people look for like interesting, unique films there.
That's true.
Because I seen like a weird, reels or something, that someone went to Goodwill, they found like a off-brand movie from Japan or something like that, and then it turned out to be like a whole different movie and something like that.
Yeah, I found I forget the name of it. It's something Hell Room or something like that, but I found like a low budget film
right
at Goodwill, and I'm like, I'll give this a go. It wasn't too bad. For what it was, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah,
it made sense, and it's always fun seeing. I always love going to Goodwill's, finding like gems of movies or movies I haven't heard of and stuff like that.
Well, you could just donate like 20 copies.
See where it gets you,
that goes.
Hold on. Investment. Wait, free investment.
Hey.
Keep it tight.
Hey, y'all can y'all do music, yeah? Yeah, you guys could probably do that music.
That's true.
You can do like this.
Keep it tight.
Damn, we're breaking the cycle. We'll break the cycle on the podcast.
They'll never know how I blew up.
Yeah. Before you become famous on that YouTube channel.
Yeah. Oh, before they're famous. So actually, Desmond Thomas started out with slipping his CDs into Goodwill stores.
Started selling his CDs there, and then that's how he blew up. Everyone started loving his music.
Beautiful story.
I love it.
The Goodwill star.
Yep.
Shout out Goodwill, man.
Shout out to Goodwill for sure.
They got Goodwill.
Yeah.
And then one more thing about. Did I mention it was in the 80s, Clementine?
No.
So if y'all like, so it takes place in 1985 for the most part.
Okay.
There's a scene that takes place in 83, but it's only the one scene. So if you love 80s, if you love that throwback vibe, it's you're gonna get it a whole lot, from the color grading to the objects, the clothing, and just popping up the music. We've already found someone who could do part of the soundtrack or the score, who's very inspired by the 80s, and so I'm very excited for it.
What is your challenges at the moment for the movie, or sorry, the film?
Well, right now I would say locations.
Okay.
We haven't locked down the locations. Later today, we're gonna make the schedule for each scene, because we're gonna take our time with this. We're gonna start shooting in September, so we're gonna take our time, and then once we have those scheduled scenes or those scenes locked down, finding those locations, making a few calls. There's a like a montage to the Seattle Aquarium, and so I have to make that call. Just looking around, it's location scouting, I would say.
How accepting some of these locations are, like, especially like the Seattle Aquarium, because there are some places that are really strict about like filming and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, with the Seattle Aquarium, I did search it up. It's if you call their department and let them know what you're doing,
right.
They're pretty. It seems like they're pretty chill on it, but when it comes to like the harder stuff, just adapting, or like it's just being in good rep with the people in the location, leaving them, creating like a form of some sort, describing what you're doing, what your movie's doing,
right?
And then giving them a card. If they answer, they answer. If they don't, they don't.
Would you have to credit them in your film?
Oh, definitely, yeah. There's going back to Methods of Healing, episode 5 and 6. It's a different location from the first 4 episodes.
Okay.
And so we are gonna give credit. We're gonna mention that location in our credits and advertise for them. It's a little like, here, you could shoot here, and you do this for us, and I'm cool with it. It's that whatever it takes to get the film made or the series made.
You get to advertise, or that's a win-win situation. I like that. Yeah.
I'm loving everything you had to say so far, man. This is a super interesting pod, man.
I do have one question though. So this is kind of off of what we're talking about a little bit. So I'm curious about that. So let's say you have some actors, set for the film, they're acting, they're doing their job, and then like episode 3, I don't know, they're off, they're being weird. They're not doing their normal acting.
Like you find another actor,
Yes, yeah. Well, not on their phone, but they're not. They just don't sound. They're not being the actor. They're the character they're trying to be anymore. How that process work?
So first off, I usually check in on them. I'm like, hey, you all good?
Right.
What's going on? You feeling okay? And if there's something wrong, I usually call a break. I let them go through their thing, whatever their thing is. Have some water. You always you gotta drink that water, especially in hot weather like this.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man, I a little side note. I am freaking sweating over here.
Bro,
yes,
it's ridiculous.
Temperature's right up there. It's like damn near 90.
Oh my god.
You can have my water here.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries.
But give him like 20, 30, something like that. Give him a little time to just think. We could work. usually maybe change the scene, come back to it if they're not in it.
What if it takes like this? I don't know. I know this is a silly question, but it's just like, what if it takes like a year for them to recover from what they're dealing with? Would you have to find like a new actor or actress for that?
I haven't faced anything that significant.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know how I would approach it.
How would you feel about that situation? I'm curious about that as a director.
Part of me will understand.
Mm-hmm.
Part of me would be like, understand you're going through it. I'm gonna help you through it as much as I can. I mean, there's a small part of me where I'm like, we've done all this time, of course.
Right.
We did a whole lot, but if we need to start over on something, then we could start over on something.
Would you start over the whole series again, or will you just continue on the series?
I would say that it depended on the cast.
Right.
How the cast feel.
I'm just curious because I always see TV shows, the 90s shows, for example. They changed the sister like mid-season.
Yeah, those family changes.
And I was like, what the hell just happened? I was like, this is not the same actress.
There'd be no explanation.
Yeah, and there's no explanation, and she just walks in all casual. I'm just like, I feel like the show is not the same anymore. I was like, who the fuck is that? I don't know. It's that weird moment for me, like when I see a show like that.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't affect the whole storyline. It's just
line.
it's just for me. Like I guess like a viewer, I'm just like, interesting. mid change, or like what was that Charlie Sheen's TV show?
Oh, 2.5 Men.
Yeah. It became not Charlie Sheen, and then what's
Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah, I was like, what happened
the
there?
long hair dude.
Yeah.
Somewhat long hair.
He took over that show.
Yeah,
at least in its final years.
Yeah, I was like, that was a big change for sure.
I couldn't handle it
because Charlie Sheen was like the main actor for 2.5 Men, and then it became Ashton Kutcher. Yeah, that's what I always had in my mind about that. So, I guess that was one of my questions.
That's a good question.
I guess I would say, and I mean, there's always reshoots, so
right.
We could always go back to those earlier episodes to reshoot them.
Oh yeah.
And usually in reshoots, the actors that stick around are usually better the second time.
Okay.
Because they're more developed with their
characters.
characters.
True. Yeah, they have the experience of the becoming
connected to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges that you face with the actors and actresses?
Well, at least for this show, my biggest pet peeve is staying off your phone.
Okay.
At least some of the actors and actresses, I'm like, get off your phone, please.
Yeah.
We're stay in character as much.
Stay in the moment.
Stay in the moment, exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like if you just stay in the moment, if you don't have that distraction, then you're ready to go. You're feeling what your characters is. You're not necessarily. You don't need a method act.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to be Jared Leto out here. But you're still in that mindset.
Feeling.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I mean, it's just, I guess, with methods of healing, newer actors, I would say the biggest note I have is just know your character. Know how when you read the script, know how they're feeling at that time and what their motivations are.
What about like pushbacks from actors and actresses?
I'm usually open-minded about it. I'm like, if they want to try something,
okay,
we could do a shot, a shot of that. And for most part, I do agree with what they want to deliver.
Mm-hmm.
What about pushbacks with like the phones too?
Oh, it's usually just a stare, like
yeah,
just a stare down. I'm like, hey, we're out. We're out here.
Are we trying to do this, or are we trying to not?
We're trying to make. I'm trying to get. I'm not trying to be here all day.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be proficient and work.
and get it done well.
Yeah.
What's your biggest difficulties with working with Thomas? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I mean, sometimes I'm explaining the shot, and sometimes occasionally he's out, and he's like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, Thomas, and he's like, huh?
You can do that. He really do that.
And then I'm like, right here, man.
He's zoned out. So
Sometimes he zones out.
I'm
a
sorry.
little
The
bit.
question has to be asked. You know, like
No,
it was a
bro.
funny question for
I
sure.
do need to know my downfalls too.
Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes he gets zoned out, just a little bit, but
Come on, zone in, Thomas, zone in.
All
he's
the time.
Hey, he's improved. He's improved.
That's good.
And then
In betweens where I zone out, and the in betweens.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and then he kind of like you know what? This is a little behind the scenes, but he's very like when he goes to the restroom and stuff. He won't tell you. He will sneak out. He won't make a sound. He'll just sneak. I turn around. I'm like, Thomas, where you at? Where'd he go?
Oh, Thomas was bathroom break.
Bro's like he's a ninja. He's hiding
I worked with Thomas like a year ago. He's the same way. Like at the restaurant, he just sneaks away to the restroom. I'm just like, where the fuck is Thomas? I'm like, Thomas, where you at?
I'm like, I'm ready to shoot this. The character's ready.
Yeah. No, he's definitely a sneaky bathroom person.
I don't even tiptoe.
Yeah.
I just walk over.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this is a great podcast, man. Everything you had to say was absolutely awesome and insightful, dog. You taught me a lot about like acting and directing in general, bro, and your whole process. I'm loving it, man.
Honestly, I just have like a question for you. This is probably the last question. What is your favorite top movie?
Ooh.
And no haters. No haters.
Y'all know Letterboxd?
No.
It's a movie app, right? So they do a top 4. I'll give you my top 4.
Okay, yeah.
Shutter Island, Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio. I love the psychological just aspect of that.
Yeah.
It's so fuck with your head like.
Yeah, I heard it.
And I love the ending. Definitely guaranteed. I love Saw.
Okay.
Saw the movie. Okay,
The Saw,
franchise.
yeah. I love, I have practical effects, gore, I love that for Saw, and the story, there is a storyline with Saw, so
Right.
I like that. This movie called Straight Up, directed by James Sweeney, it's the vibes, it's kind of like, the vibes are like, it's like kind of like deadpan, and so, it's a movie where the plot, I'm like reading into it. I'm like, it doesn't really seem to connect with me as much.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the delivery of comedy, and the way the camera was working in that movie.
Okay.
And then the fourth one's like a revolving window. Whether that's War of the Planet of the Apes, love that movie.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
This movie called Atonement with James McAvoy, who y'all might know as what's the ball character in Unbreakable? Anyways, James McAvoy. Basically, it's a war movie. I love war movies, and so it's and my favorite part of that movie is that the font is like typewriter-esque.
Oh, okay.
And so every time I see the typewriter, I'm just like, yes. Okay. But that's kind of like my top 4, top 5 at the moment.
Okay, what about TV series?
Low battery, by the way. Just heads up.
Thank you. Shout out Low Battery. I love Psych and I love Community.
Okay.
I love finding the pineapple in Psych.
I love Psych.
And then Community. Hey man, Senor Chang.
Senor Chang.
Chang baby, that
that's
one
it.
episode where he yells that is just comedy. I love all the characters on that.
And then what advice would you give out there to those creative minds who wants to be an actor or actress or director? Mm-hmm. And that would just be the final of that.
Yeah, go for your ideas. Have fun. Always smile. And always entertain yourself. Every project that you make is for you. And if you're happy, at the end of the day, someone else will be happy. But if you're happy, keep on doing what you love.
Appreciate that. Hey, I just want to say thank you so much, Darius, for coming in. Thank you for Hebron too. For building this connection with Thomas and everyone.
Thomas
here.
going over there working with them, sealing the deal.
You know how it is. Thank you so much, Darius, for coming in to explain your story. And you know how it is. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe. Share with your family, share your friends, share it to your pets.
Share it to your catfish, your goldfish, your rainbow fish, your stonefish,
alligators, whatever.
Share them all.
Someone out there. Hey, we out.
We out. Thank you.
Thank you.